Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. So we are on chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita. We did 2 verses and we are on the 3rd verse right now. And here Krishna Bhagwan I was talking about advertising in our modern language about what he's going to talk about to get Arjun all excited. In turn, excite us also that it's a very amazing knowledge. And in first verse, he said, with the mind intent on me, O Partha, means Arjuna, practicing yoga and taking refuge in me, how thou shalt without doubt know me fully, that do thou hear. So basically he's telling him that if you listen very intently, connect with me, take refuge in me, and so you will know me fully. So this is another very important thing. What does that fully mean? Anything, now hear it. And then he also said that I will declare everything without holding anything back. That's what he said in verse 2. And once you I'll give you the practical way. Firstly, I'll give you the theoretical knowledge, and then I will show you how to get there and experience it yourself, subjectively. And that's called realization. And he's saying, once you know this, there's nothing more to be known, means it's a final goal of everybody's life. So it is also describing what the final goal is. So those were the 2 verses. So let's go to verse 3 now. I'm going to chant it. Manushyanam sahastreshu kashchit yatati siddhaye yatatamapi siddhanam kashchit mam veti tatvatah. So here is Manushyanam is of men, means they're talking about human beings, not just men, human beings. Sahastreshu, among thousands. Kaschit, someone, rarely someone. Yatati, strives for this. Siddhaye, and then he strives for perfection. Yatatanam, yati usko bolte hain, the one who is striving for something. See, so the striving one. Api, even. Siddhanam, of the successful one. So the siddha has many different meanings. So basically the one who gains something from it. Kaschit, someone. Mam, me. Veti, knows. Tatvatah, in essence. In essence, this is a very, very important thing because he talks about this knowing me in essence a lot, and we have already discussed, but we'll discuss a little bit more. So what is he saying over here? Basically, he's saying that among thousands of human beings, only rare few have interest in walking on this path, you know, and y'all are all of them. He's talking about all of us over here. Okay? And he's saying out of these who have interest in walking in this path and start doing it, you know, there are rare few, they achieve something. Because sometimes you can walk on the path and just kind of do it superficially. Then you're not going to achieve anything from it. But, you know, to see some progress happening, that happens in few of the people. And then out of those, only rare few come to know me completely. So this is the most important thing because the final goal is to know Bhagwan completely. So when he says the first 2 words in this verse is Manushyanam Sahastreshu, among thousands of men or human beings. So what Nikhilananji was reminding us, and we have talked about it before also, that to become a human being itself is very rare. And there is a sentence in Vedanta that Jantunam Narajanma Durlabham. Now, we are all Hindi speaking, so you probably understand that. Among all the living beings, you know, it's a durlabh to become a human, because you go through so much journey. Starting from the stone to the plants to the पता नहीं कितने सारे वो yonis में, like animals and all that, and even the modern science.
84 lakh योनियां.
So, yeah, 84 lakh yonia, exactly. And the modern people also, the science, they also believe in theory of evolution, right? So both ways it is there. That kitne pata nahi janm liye honge. So out of all, to become a human being is a rare phenomena here. And to have this human equipments, because we have a special intellect that questions everything and also has a capacity to question, hey, who am I? But that question doesn't come to everyone, only few, rare few. So this is not easy. So he was just saying that खाली मनुष्य तक पहुंचने के लिए भी सोचो कितने पापड़ बेलने पड़े हम लोग को. So, and then after being born as a human being, if you waste it and not achieve the fulfillment, what it is meant for, it is overall wastage हो जाएगा हमारा. फिर हमको फिर जन्म लेना पड़ेगा. So he was reminding us that in the Upanishad, it is said that one who is born as a human being, he learns the supreme truth. That means he has fulfilled his life. That's called moksha, right, for us. So it's the highest achievement that we got. But if you live without knowing it, then you are incurring a great loss, according to the Upanishad. So I was just thinking about it in the modern world, it's like we go to college, either our time we went to college and our parents sent us to college, and now we're sending our kids to college, and then if they go there and instead of a degree, they do all the extracurricular activity but don't get the degree and come back, we'll be pretty upset. Oh, itna bheja, itna paisa kharcha kiya, all the work gone waste, right? Something like that the God must be thinking over there. Log ko itna sab kuch diya aur they didn't get their final goal. So he's saying that, and then he was also reminding Nikhilanandji that even though we have become human being, we'll probably already gone through many janmas as human being, right? Because you have to go through that struggle, of all these churning on this earth and all that. And I was just reading one book, and the author in there, he was saying that he had a very interesting take on this, our earth, right? He said only very advanced souls are born on the earth because it's so difficult here. Saying there are other planets, because there's theory, right, that there are so many billions of stars and there are other planets. Saying they are very, very simple planets. Udhar ज़्यादा कुछ झंझट नहीं है, very simple life and all that. यहाँ पर तो बाप रे, every day is a challenge. He's saying so everybody should be. I never thought it that way. He's saying only advanced souls are sent over there because we have to face so much. So anyway, after so many years of struggle, meaning so many lives of struggle, lifetimes of struggle, different experiences, just the desire to know the truth arises in you. So I think all of us should pat ourselves on the back that, that desire has arisen, because उस desire को करने के लिए भी बहुत कुछ करना पड़ता है, right? So it comes in our mind. So he said you go through all these 4 purusharths we were talking about last time, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. But he was just saying that usually it doesn't happen in that order. It should be happening in that order as a human being. But he was talking about these purusharths as a, for all the jivas, you can say. So he's saying mainly everybody is after earth, means material things, material desires. Desire of survival, he called it. Like, even in the modern science, they say that we have this instinct of survival, all of us. That's the main instinct in everyone. But the human beings are the only one, because they start evolving more, and the next one comes is pleasure, he said. That when you have this instinct of survival, and then the next one comes, hey, I'm getting some pleasure out of this material thing, so I start seeking it more and more. So that's why it's artha kama. So kam means desire. So that also is a very dominating purusharth. In the world, you can see that pleasure hunting is a main thing. Material things and pleasure hunting. 95% of the people want to do that, So he's saying that when it comes to, so it is artha, kam, and then dharma. Dharma is supposed to be the first, but anyway. After these two, dharma people start thinking about, and that becomes a purusharth, because as human beings, we come to understand that I should not be just worrying about myself, me the whole time, my security, my pleasures, but I need to worry about, hey, everybody should have it. See what I'm saying? That, it's like a society and the country and the universe, everything. So that kind of capacity is being given to the human being only, to think like that, hey, it's not just me, everybody needs to be included in this, So that is the dharma. When you say, what is dharma? There are different aspects of dharma. Dharma is a huge topic, but here, in this context, when you start thinking not just selfishly, but selflessly, and, when you worry about the whole world, you are also included in it anyway. So it's not like you're losing something by thinking about the world, because sometimes we have this wrong idea that if I do something for somebody, mera kya hoga? So the Bhagwan has already said, if you do for other people, tomorrow I'll take care of you. You don't have to worry about it. So, but anyway, so this is what dharma is. So he's saying that out of millions of dharmic people, there are very few who actually have a desire for moksha. And we have gone through this in Kathopanishad as well as Bhagavad Gita, that just becoming dharmic itself, it can have another meaning also. It means that, hey, I want some more comfort in the, what you call, Swargalok. ये जो हम लोग यज्ञ और ये वो, I want to be a good, ताकि मेरे पुण्य कमाऊं मैं, and वो पुण्य से मुझे स्वर्ग मिलेगा. That could be one way of thinking it too. So there are lots of people who will do lot of good stuff, दान धर्म ये सब करेंगे, पूजा यज्ञ ये सब करेंगे to get the swarg, and but then out of them also there are very few who will develop the desire for moksha, he said. So then he was just talking about that, even if firstly we learned that to learn about moksha and that there is something self and there is something called Brahman, nobody can show you that, you can only hear it. That's why Shravanam is so important, because Shruti, that's why the Upanishads are called Shruti, or the Shastras are called Shruti, because somebody can just tell you, or you can read about it, or hear from a wise person, or read the scriptures, and then you will know. So even after hearing it, we don't take it seriously. That, hey, I want this. That kind of desire is very rare, he said. And then we waste our time, it's like फालतू की चीज़ों में, तमाशा, जगत के तमाशे में, we waste our whole life, some social activity, this and all, nobody is denying that don't do the social activity, but we forget our main goal. It's like the same student who has gone to college and he is trying to study, but the focus is not on study, but other extracurricular activity. That was the best example in my head, at least. So he's saying that, and he was just saying, dramatizing, Nikhilanandji, he was saying, Bhagwan will say, hey, what are you doing? I sent you for this one project to realize yourself. You're wasting your time, all sort of stupid things, So he was just dramatizing. I thought that was funny. So he's saying that in some ways it is really a miraculous thing. If suddenly you develop the desire, to walk that path, sometimes it happens very sudden to people. Like, Sheilaji was talking about these people, young people we meet in Hare Krishna, and one incident, my God, suddenly happens. Sounds like a miracle only. Obviously, there is a purva sanskar and all that. From our perspective, it sounds like miraculous. So then he was also telling the difference between being religious and spiritual. So that we need to know the difference, because, Upanishad says that, this comes to being spiritual comes with the grace of God only. It's like भगवान को बोलते हैं ना, जैसे हमारे पे दया आ जाती है, इतना कोशिश कर रहा है, चलो ये desire दे दो इसको, something like that. So he's saying that sometimes what happens is that suddenly this desire might come, hey, I want to know, I want to be free, I'm so feel so bound in this world, I want freedom from all this, and, or recognize myself, who am I, and gain enlightenment, So spirituality is this, when you gain that desire to to know yourself. But the religious people, aims could be, hey, I want to go Swargalok. Okay? So, he was talking about now Purusharth, that where people spend their efforts. Purusharth is like effort. That's what you can say in English. So if my goal is material things, then obviously my Purusharth will be towards the material thing to protect myself, and by hook or crook, security I want. That's it. I don't care, And then if somebody's goal is pleasure, I just khao, pio, maja karo, that kind of idea if you have in your head, then that's where your Purusharth will be constantly, But those who become dharmic, so their aim could be, hey, I've become good, so I get this swarg. But those who are spiritual, he's saying, their Purusharth will be to gain enlightenment, to awaken to that reality. Saying that out of millions of rare, few develop this desire. And he's saying that even after you get this desire, there are many other factors that has come to play, right? What are the factors? You need proper guidance, because you can have a guide who might mislead you and all that. Proper guidance and proper environment, proper facility, condition and all that. But that's where you have to have faith in God that he will provide you if you truly have that desire, not superficially. So he's saying that, and then that desire has to be maintained for a long time, he said. ये नहीं कि भाई जैसे हमारे our acharya used to say in Houston, don't make spirituality just a Sunday thing, मैं संडे को आ रही हूँ 2-4 घंटे, I am so spiritual, and then a whole week you are doing some other hangama, So it has to, whatever you learn, then you got to practice, try to practice the best way you can. So that's what it is, that it has to be sustained for a long time. And he's saying that he also joked, he says, some people get a sudden attack of spirituality. Suddenly, when you meet this person, he's like doing everything so spiritual and all that. And after 1 month, if you meet that person and say, ये क्या हो रहा है अभी से, अब सब छूट गया, पहले मैं ये सब करती थी, अभी, attack of spirituality is gone. So we see sometimes कि पहले खूब enthusiasm, I want to study Geeta, I want to do this, I want to do that. And फिर 2-3 class के बाद, boom, everything gone. So obviously, you got to sustain yourself. So maintaining and sustaining is also rare. And then he's saying that the very few people who do walk this path, sustain for a long time, study, start getting some result. But then what happens is, and we have also already gone through this, but again, we'll repeat it here. They get satisfied with little things. What are these little things? He's saying that when you are following on this path, so you get goodies. कौन सी वाली goodies है ये? You get siddhis. Some people get some, all kind of siddhis that we have talked about. Power, recognition, and, in the society, and people might start worshipping and all that. And if you get caught up in that, chutti, And so, and I've heard for our Gurudev, Chinmayanandji, that he never wanted to talk about miracles. He always brushed it off his entire life. But people who were very close to him, they saw miracles happening around him all the time. And there is a book also, it's called Every Breath a Teaching, usme certain miracles are given that, from our perspective, it sounds like a miracle, but he never gave much attention to it, because those are the siddhis that people gain. So what happens is that so many people get caught up in these siddhis, but that's not the ultimate, and we have gone through it in Kathopanishad, and, Bhagavad Gita has not come yet, but Kathopanishad, we definitely have gone through it, that, hey, these are like roadblocks according to them. If you get this and you get caught up in the middle, and the perfect example is, I have a goal to go from California to New York, and I'm driving, and my destination is New York, but every kind of nice scenery that comes, I get caught up, and then one day I just decided to stay at one of the place only. Some national park, I love it so much, and I never reach my goal. So that's what happens over here, that they start getting siddhi and they enjoy it so much, they don't want to go further, So, and so out of these people who have walked this path now finally, and they started getting the siddhi, but they didn't stop there. Those are rare, who will continue until that final state of enlightenment. So they are not satisfied with these peanuts, he was saying, they're gaining the supreme, So that's what the main thing is over here, that That's why it is rare, And saying out of those people who continue after the Siddhi also, usme se bhi, there are rare few who come to recognize me truly as I am. तत्व से मुझे जानने वाला बहुत कम होता है. And then because it's a very subtle path, he was saying, And then, so only rare few will realize that what Brahman is. And I know we are going to learn in Bhagavad Gita next 6 chapters now what Brahman is. So we have a great chance, because there here Krishna Bhagwan is telling you that I'm going to tell you everything. Now you know the what you call importance of Bhagavad Gita that he has taken. See, if we try to handle these Upanishads on our own, you know how difficult it is. Here we sweated in the other one, Mandukya, for years, but we got some, and now we are doing this. But how Krishna Bhagavan has packaged everything. In the next 6 chapters, he's going to tell you. He took the whole sar out and he's going to tell you that, hey, what Brahman is. So, in nutshell, out of millions of people, he's saying that, Nikhilananji was saying that the realized masters you can count on your fingers. He's saying that he just put his hand up and he's saying these 2 hands you can tell the number, So he's saying, okay, now, most important thing. Is Krishna Bhagavan telling you that to discourage you, this, that it's so rare that let me not only try, forget about it, I'm not going to get there. No, that's not why he's saying. But, the way I look at it another way, there are a lot of realized souls who don't come in limelight. Because they may not be great teachers, right? Like all these Buddha and, Jesus or Muhammad or other people and all, they were great teachers also. So they could, but there are people who could be self-realized and just, stay on their own. And there are people like that. So it's possible. Or there could be householders who are like that too. So he's saying that he's telling you the beauty and greatness of it through this, that to pursue this. And he's saying basically what he's trying to tell Arjuna is that there is nothing more important than gaining this enlightenment. So we all have to find time to pursue this. We can do all our worldly things. And then once we learn from here in Bhagavad Gita, we will see that every action we do can be divinized. And it can be what you call a stepping stone to get higher. Doesn't matter what is on your plate. So we already know that through Karma Yoga and all that. So he's saying that other things are important, but we should know that from that perspective, they are flimsy, So he's saying that, and then also he was just reminding a true fact of life. He's saying once you leave this earth, you may be thinking, oh, log mujhe bahut yaad karenge and all that, saying that koi yaad waad karne wala nahi hai, sab bhul jayenge. Your own children are going to forget too. Sad to say, but that's a reality, it doesn't apply to just one, it's the entire humanity, And he's saying you might even build a statue in your name. He was just saying some extreme case. हम लोग तो यहाँ नहीं है वो statue वाले लोग. मगर suppose कोई बहुत famous हो गया, अपनी statue बना के उसने रख दी, saying अगर तुम्हारा दूसरा जन्म होएगा ना तो अपनी खुद की statue नहीं पहचान सकोगे. Because memory is gone and you might be the one who might remove that statue. He was just joking, okay? So basically the idea is that it's what we are going to learn is so rare. So अभी curiosity बढ़ेगी कि भाई क्या बताने वाला है भगवान? He's saying I'm going to tell you everything. That's what this verse is about. This is where this advertisement of Krishna Bhagwan ends, and he's from the verse 4 he starts talking about what the nature of Brahman is. Very basic one that we will learn next week. So any question, comment, or anybody wants to add anything? Okay. So we can read. So I guess everybody is, I see a lot of smiles on the face. So we are all ready.
Just got a question.
Yeah.
Simple question.
Yeah.
Knowing Bhagwan and knowing Bhagwan from Tattva, what's the difference between?
Because when you say Bhagwan, there could be, if I ask even in this class, there will be so many different definitions. It's such a vast subject, right? For somebody, Bhagwan could be, oh, hey, Krishna Bhagwan is Bhagwan. Another one will say nature is Bhagwan. Third one will say, or kisne Vedant padha hoga, so they will say, everything is coming from Bhagwan and all those. So there will be so many different things. But basically, Tattva se janna means, if you talk about Advaita Vedanta, there is nothing but Bhagwan here in the entire universe, because he is the material cause only of this. So through this journey, the whole idea of Krishna Bhagwan is saying that you are also Bhagwan only. It's like everybody is also the same. And the best example is that suppose if there is ocean, so whether you take one drop of water or the entire ocean, uska essence is H2O. So that's what he's pointing towards. But it's very easy to know this in theory. If you read enough times and you contemplate on it, you will believe in it. There's no doubt. But to actually experience that oneness is knowing him tattva se. Or wo through this process of Shravana, Mandanam, Nidhi, Dhyasan, and he's telling us how to do it. That's what it means, tattva se. And the other very simple way to say tattva se, that when we were talking about Purush and Prakriti, or Brahman and nature, or like with the Shiv and Shakti, actually it is one only, but it appears as two. So all of that comes under tattva se. But the mainly tattva se tabhi malum hoga jab we experience it. That's what he's talking about. Yeah, that was a good question. Yeah. Okay, Meera ji has gone without video, but I don't know. Would you like to read or? Okay, then maybe
I would just like to listen today because.
Okay. Yeah, no problem, Meera ji. Anil ji, would you?
Thanks.
Would you read this?
Among thousands of men, one perchance strives for perfection. Even among those successful strivers, only one perchance knows me in essence. Hearing this seemingly outrageous statement from Krishna, that Vedanta or self-realization is as easy as listening to a short story reading, Arjun got confused because this assertion of the Lord jarred against his tutored ideas regarding the Hindu theory of self-perfection. Naturally, his eyes, as it were, bulge out, expressing his bewilderment. Krishna has, therefore, to explain why, in spite of the fact that self-realization was so simple and easy, it is not within the experience of everyone. This stanza explains why the majority still choose to remain in the area of ignorance, to weep and to sigh, and are not able to walk into the lit up arena of perfect knowledge and inward equanimity.
So here, when Swamiji was saying that in the beginning of first verse, he said, no, that listen to me carefully. I'm going to tell you everything. So on one hand, it sounded so simple. Like, okay, I'm listening to the story and I'm going to get it. So he's saying that Arjuna was like, what? And so here he's just saying that that's true, that I'm going to tell you everything, but does not mean that everybody's going to get it. So there are so many adjustments we have to make to get. It's not like a path that it is like 2 + 2 is 4 type of thing. Very subtle subject. You have to contemplate a lot, remove your doubts, and all the things that we did.
The idea that realization and knowledge of Vedanta can come into the experience of only a rare few has been repeatedly emphasized in different portions of spiritual literature in India by different masters in different expressions. We were told previously how the very theoretical side of Vedanta is heard and understood as a marvel. In the Upanishads also, the same idea has been very clearly expressed by the rishis.
So here he's telling that this whole idea that it is such a marvel is expressed in different ways. And because अपने को काफी टाइम हो गया कठोपनिषद करते हुए, बट ये हम लोग ऑलरेडी ये वर्स आ चुका है, कि ये मार्वल है, इट्स अ वंडरमेंट. एंड द सेम type of verses in Bhagavad Gita. So I just want to say the English translation of those verses to remind us. We have done both the verses already, because one is in chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, and this one is in chapter 1 of Kathopanishad, Valli 2, verse 7. It says over there. And the English translation for that verse is, he means the self, of whom many are not able to even hear. मतलब सुनने को तैयार नहीं है. Because किसी को बोलो ना, I mean, I have come across so many people who are from India, but they say, I don't believe in reincarnation, which is a cardinal principle. There are ऐसे भी लोग हैं, or like for them, if you tell them anything about Vedanta, they say, what's the proof? पता नहीं कुछ, they will start doubting, So सुनने को भी तैयार नहीं, not even able to hear. The recipient means the student. There are so many recipients, even having heard of him means that Brahman, do not comprehend. Matlab, we keep hearing and say, oh, I don't know, I'm still confused. It happens to us also. Wonderful is a man, means a teacher, wonderful is a man or a teacher when found who is able to teach the self. इसको किसी को सिखाना भी कोई आसान काम नहीं है. That's why I was telling you, there are many self-realized souls, but they cannot become good teachers because they don't know how to express themselves or remove the doubt of a person. But वो भी एक skill होती है, अगर ऐसा कोई टीचर मिल जाए, उसको बोलते हैं कि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ एंड श्रोत्रिय दोनों होना चाहिए. ब्रह्मनिष्ठ means he is established in that self, and shrotriya means he is able to teach somebody. Okay, that's wonderment. So when he's found, but after that also, wonderful is he, means the student who comprehends the self. वो टीचर बोल रहा है तो इसको समझ में इसकी खोपड़ी में घुस रहा है. That also is a wonderment when taught by an able teacher. Okay, so this was mentioned in this verse. And then here it says that refer to chapter 2, 29. Okay, so let's see what the 29, chapter 2. So the English translation of the verse is, one sees this as a wonder. मतलब sees मतलब comprehends. Oh my God, amazing. ऐसा भी है. Another speaks of this as a wonder. तो जो बोल रहा है वो भी एक आश्चर्यचकित ही है. And then another hears of this as a wonder. जो सुनता है, oh my God, this is something new that I heard. Yet, having heard, none understand this at all. पानी फेर दिया जैसे, But what basically trying to say, we cannot understand it by our senses. And we have gone through this, that you have to rise above your senses. So there are so many, that's why it's a subtle subject. That's what it meant, those two verses.
Only I want to make a comment.
Yes.
I think faith is very important in listening.
Absolutely. Faith, you said it. And that's why we had that verse, Shraddhavan labhate gnanam. Because without faith, somebody was saying, even if you go to some class, and if you don't have a faith in teacher, you're not going to learn anything, because you're going to constantly doubt that person. So faith is like almost like a necessary thing in the world to survive very nicely too. If कोई भी आता है, कोई काम करता है हमारे घर में, we hire somebody, we have to have faith कि he'll do a good job. Right? So true. But इसमें तो और भी ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है, because कोई दिखा नहीं सकता तुम्हें कि भाई ये भगवान है करके, So that's why faith becomes more, and that's why that I like that Carl Jung's statement that when you look outside, you are dreaming, and when you see inside, you get awakened. That was one of his saying. And the other one was that in the outside world, what you see, you believe. And the inside world, what you believe, you see. Right? Both the things are very, very powerful statements by him, which telling exactly what you are saying. So we have to have, and usually when we meet some self-realized soul, उनके चेहरे पे जो शांति होती है, उनका जो persona होता है, how they deal with people, how much compassion they have, that's what gives us faith. That I want to be little bit like that person. Forget about getting all the way, but even कुछ भी झलक भी मिले, that's how we pursue. Hey, I want to learn what they have. So true what you said.
Here, however, Krishna shifts the entire responsibility for not realizing the self upon the individual seeker himself and attributes it entirely to the sadhak's lack of self-application. Vedanta being a subjective science, it is not sufficient that we know how to eradicate our weaknesses and cultivate our inward strength, but we must also live up to those ideals and try to bring about the necessary readjustments in ourselves. Very few can discover in themselves this necessary urge to evolve.
So it's a two-way thing. Firstly, you have to eradicate all the weaknesses and all that, and then live up to the ideal. So he's just telling there are two aspects to it, and very few people are able to do this. Yeah.
Of the thousands that hear intelligently and perhaps understand all the theory and text of Vedanta, only a few sincerely apply themselves to live fully the way of life according to Vedanta. Even among 1,000 such sincere seekers, only a rare few, says the Lord, come to know me and my real nature.
So he's just, we saw this whole thing, what it means, come to know my real nature. To see that oneness in the entire universe, yeah.
The chances are that when this way of life according to Vedanta is perfectly explained by a Sadguru to a student who is seemingly attending with all enthusiasm, with sincerity and concentration, it is possible that he may raise himself up to perhaps the very gates of truth, but there he himself may come to bar his own entry into the within. There some imperceptible vanity or unsuspected desire is sufficient there to exile him from himself. In this sense, there is a wealth of meaning of Lord Christ's declaration that a camel can pass through the eye of a needle more easily than a rich man through the gates of heaven. The riches are here not the worldly wealth, but the individual's mental vasana wealth. Unless the mind is perfectly naked, it has no entry into the bliss of truth.
See how powerful this whole thing is, that what he's saying, that you can reach up to the gates, but you may not get the entry because some little ego, some little desire, some little thing may come. And our teacher used to say that in Houston, Darshana Ben used to say, even if you have one person on this earth that you dislike, you cannot get the entry. So he said, I have become so open-minded, I love everybody, but so chutti, you're not qualified. So that's why. And then in Kathopanishad, exactly the same verse is coming, that what is the stage when you drop everything, So wahan tak pahunchna, that's what we have to strive for. It's not that easy, But with God's grace, I think that's why they said, you keep trying, in the end mein Bhagwan hi bol denge, okay, I'll help this person. I think isne already bahut kuch kar liya. That grace we need, to drop that last bit of thing that holding us back. Yeah.
So the mind has to be totally empty of any desire.
Yes. Even desire for moksha.
Even desire for moksha.
Yeah. Because even that is, they say, sattvic desire is also a chain. Like when you have tamasic, rajasic, sattvic. And that's why they say that, okay, the analogy is that tamasic desires are like big, badi lohe ki chain. Bandhe hua hai puri tarah. And, like rajasic are maybe tambe ki. And this is a gold chain. Patli si gold chain, but wo bhi chain hi hai. Sattvic desire. So any kind of desire in the end, true.
By thus showing the extreme difficulty of attaining self-realization, it is not intended here that the students of Vedanta should feel disappointed and desperate. The stanza should not be read as a pessimistic declaration. Krishna's very character in the entire Mahabharata is painted as a living embodiment of cheer and laughter, a man of inexhaustible hope and joy. Of all the godly personalities in the history of the religious literature of the world, if at all there be one character that has not as much as felt a mental depression, it is the flute bearer of Vrindavan. Such a master, especially when he is trying to encourage his friend who is in despondency, cannot be considered as offering Arjun a dose of extra pessimism.
Yeah, so he's just telling that, hey, when it comes to Krishna Bhagwan, everybody has seen him always smiling, dancing, playing the flute. Is one character who you never see him as depressed, and here he's not going to lift Arjuna to, out of his depression. He's not going to tell him depressive stuff. So don't take his words wrong. That's all Swamiji is, urging all of us, not look at it as a pessimistic thing.
Viewing the stanza in the light of the Krishna spirit, it only means that rare indeed are people who come to study sincerely and get a true glimpse of the literature of Vedanta, and only a very small percentage of these can discover in themselves the necessary mental stamina, the intellectual vision, and the physical forbearance to live that life of truth and purity in the world. Since Arjun and all students of the Gita are such rare souls, they represent the community of evolvers. To them, Krishna promises that he can, through his divine song, not only deliver the speculative part of the philosophy of Vedanta, but also practically hand over chances to live subjectively the vital moments of vivid inward experience of the self.
So here Swamiji is encouraging all of us that if rare are the indeed, that's what I was saying, or whoever is coming to this class to study or go to any other study group of Gita or study themselves or try to pursue this, those are rare few. And then here in this juncture of ours, Krishna Bhagwan is promising us that, hey, if you are here, I'm going to tell you everything. And then he said that you need these three things: mental stamina, intellectual vision, and physical forbearance. And then we saw that in Kathopanishad, it's called the razor's edge. There was a verse, Shuras Sadharya, that is walking on a razor's edge, because you will come across so many oppositions. Because you are going against the current of the world. They're saying that you are rare few, so there are 95% going on one direction and you are going in a different. They're going to pull you down. You will hear all kinds of negative comments, or whatever, whatever you want to say, however you want to look at it. But if you just have that forbearance to continue, then we can have a chance to reach.
But Ramaji, isn't it true that if you have the forbearance, then your life becomes easier and joyful because many negative things don't matter to you?
Right, but there is a beach में एक hurdle होता है, उसको cross करना होता है. Like I'll tell you that I remember that when we started our study group and all that, so our teacher had warned us. He's saying, the things that you think are so great in the world that we do, competition, this, that, and suddenly you realize we're not doing a great thing. That's a negative thing in the in the spiritual world. Whatever the ways of the world are, and then you are so used to doing that now that you know something better, it bothers you. You don't get sleep at night. See what I'm saying? It's like, I know I should be telling the truth. I know I should be, I'm still lying, or I'm still doing this. It's going to bother you, and you're going to go through a lot of pain and things like that, And then sometimes when you are trying to do some, spiritual stuff, even your relatives or friends might mock at you. Acha, you're going to Chinmaya mission, but you're still behaving like this. God knows something, Sometimes I hear it from my kids, Oh, you still get angry but you study Bhagavad Gita and all that. So you get to hear all these things. All those things happen. But you got a thick skin banna padega. because you are finding some joy in this, maybe, So many aspects are there to this forbearance and mental stamina and physical, everything. I don't know if that answered the question.
I think it does, because I'm thinking, look what happened to Christ.
Oh my God, he's a perfect example. There is a series coming on Netflix called The Chosen. It's about life of Jesus. So my son and I are watching, and very interesting that, what was the circumstances and how people started developing faith. And some people thought that, oh, I'm such a sinner, I can't. And then suddenly, but Jesus chose them to kind of become his lieutenant, so to speak, spread the word and all that. And very interesting, the whole thing, So like our teacher used to say for our class in Houston, she said, this is a place where we come and talk about our weaknesses and nobody judges anybody. Openly you can say, hey, I'm still struggling with this or another, and it's fine, So that's what it is. But in the world, you're not going to go and say all these things. You're not going to get much sympathy. People will take it all wrong and use it against you.
You may get crucified.
Exactly. You may get crucified because you're trying to become a better person, and they say, oh, this person is, they admitted that they have this problem.
They say this guy is so boring, that's what he talks about.
Exactly. There's so many. You already know the whole thing. So that's why I think that like-minded people to study this is very, very